Hey guys, welcome back to Carb 21 Network, wherever in the world you're watching us from. So, the video that I'm about to react to was an interview that was done recently with the daughter of former president of Cuba, Fidel Castro. And this was done on News Nation. And in this interview, the daughter of the former president of Cuba, Fidel Castro, let me just give you some backstory about her. In 1993, she left Cuba and she decided not to return because she did not like what was going on in Cuba with her father and the communist government in Cuba. So she decided to stay in America and to seek asylum. And she's now an activist against the communist government. So in this interview, she is just showing her support for the Trump administration and what they're trying to do in Cuba for the people of Cuba. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this conversation is because I believe that in the Caribbean, we're not talking about this enough. We're not asking our leaders what is the expectation for Cuba. It is one thing for the islands within the Caribbean that stand with Cuba, and another thing for the islands that don't stand with them. But where do you see Cuba in the next couple of years? Because 70 years the Cuban people have been suffering. The Cuban government is not the one that's suffering. The Cuban government, they are living their lavish lifestyle while millions of Cuban people go to bed hungry every day. So for those who say they support the Cuban government and want the American government to lift the embargo, is it enough for the American government to lift the embargo and business as usual, no change, the same communist regime continues? Is that something that you want if you are someone that's an advocate for the American government to lift the embargo? Or is it that your position is that the American government lift the embargo and the Cuban government lift the communist rulership in Cuba and free up the people of Cuba? Because one thing I would want people to remember, we have been here before. Barack Obama tried to renew relationship with the Cuban government, with Raul Castro, when Obama became the first president in decades to set foot on Cuban soil. And Obama made a deal. Obama followed through with his deal. The US embassy was reopened in Cuba, and Raul Castro did not follow through on his part of the deal. And that is why we are here today. So I'm just going to press play, and we're going to hear what, as I said, the daughter of the former president, what she has to say about her support for the Trump administration.
Trump's Don Roe doctrine is the new Cuba on the horizon. Let's bring in Alina Fernandez, the daughter of Fidel Castro and niece of Raul Castro. She's also an anti-communist activist. Great to see you, Alina. Thank you so much for being here. So you had a front row seat to the early days of the regime run by your father, Fidel Castro, and of course your uncle, Raul Castro, before you fled Cuba. Can you explain what made you change, or realize rather, that the regime was punishing people for speaking out, and how did you become such a bold anti-communist voice?
Yes, front row seat, as you say, until I was almost 40 years old, and it caused me to be able to escape from there. I mean, it's too much of a long story. First, when you're a child, you have the feeling that you're uncomfortable, that something is wrong, and you start to grow from there, from that feeling, that emotion, that what's going around is not right.
And do you still have family in Cuba today that you speak to? Do you know what's happening there at this moment with the regime?
My family, since I became what they call a traitor of a worm, if you think differently, had me become the enemy. And that's one of the tragedies of the Cubans, that if you don't think alike, you are treated like the enemy.
Yes, so this is a very important point that she's making, because I've made this point several times with the discussion talking about Cuba, when we're talking about the Cuban medical practitioners and other Cubans that got the opportunity to leave Cuba and did not return to Cuba, and that they're seen as enemy of the state. So this is the daughter of the former president and the niece of Raul Castro, and she's a part of the family. And she decided not to go back to Cuba, and she's seen as an enemy of the state. So just imagine that. Like her father died, and she could not go to the funeral. She is pretty much exiled from all her family that's in Cuba. And she, as I said, the daughter of the former president of Cuba. So just imagine what millions of Cubans, Cuban Americans, Cuban in Canada going through because they cannot return to Cuba to have a connection with their family. So I thought that was very important to point out that she, the daughter of the former president of Cuba, and she cannot return to Cuba.
By your own government, yeah. And since the communist takeover of Cuba, President Trump has talked about ending the regime there. There have been a number of American presidents who've tried a mix of sanctions, military operations, normalization towards the regime. None of this has worked to bring freedom to the Cuban people.
They try to help them.
Right. Too. What do you think will achieve real change, and what do you think needs to happen?
I'm convinced that a dictatorship, a regime like this gets established with a little help from the outside, and it's the same when it's going to implode. It needs a little push. The circumstance is so delicate. But what do you think at this point, because you were speaking about negotiating with the regime before in the before segment, and it's very difficult. They are very well established. They've been there for years. They've been playing around. This is the number 14 American president dealing with Cuba, and nothing is changing in there. What is the sense of defending social state of things? It's amazing. Lives are so miserable. That's a good example, the picture you have there. They don't have electricity. They don't have food. They don't have anything. Children are not going to school. There is nothing to put on the table. Why are you still defending? You see, there are people that are still defending this situation 90 miles away from the richest country in the world.
Do you, based on what President Trump has said about Cuba and his different approach to these kinds of regimes around the world, especially when it comes to Venezuela and the capture and arrest of Nicolas Maduro, do you hear anything from him that gives you hope about the future of Cuba?
I do trust Marco Rubio's knowledge about the subject, very specific knowledge about the subject. It's the first time that Cubans have hope that something is going to change. We all wish it was going to be through negotiations, but to this point, it doesn't seem that's possible. That's why many points of pressure have been implied, and that's what I assume is their strategy.
Yes, so that was the daughter of the former president of Cuba, Fidel Castro, on the interview on News Nation. And what I find very interesting, one of the talking points within the Caribbean, whenever this discussion comes up about Cuba and America, one of the conversation is that Cuba is a democracy and that the American government should leave them alone, and that the American government should not have a say if Cuba, if Fidel Castro, if the Castro regime, Raul Castro, whoever, if they want to be a communist country, who is America to tell them what to do, and that they should allow the Castro government to do whatever they want in Cuba. And that talking point makes no sense coming from people in the Caribbean, coming from a lot of people in the Caribbean, that when I remember back in the days with the apartheid government in South Africa, and one of the greatest achievements that we brag about, we talk about in the Caribbean a lot, is the role that we played, the role that Jamaica played, Trinidad, Barbados, and Cuba themselves played in ending the apartheid government in South Africa. And that was one of the reasons why, as soon as Nelson Mandela came out of prison, Nelson Mandela came to Jamaica, he came to Cuba, he went to Cuba, and he celebrated them because of what the Caribbean, how the Caribbean stood for the Black people in South Africa that were being oppressed. And South Africa, for the average Black person in South Africa, was considered like an open prison. But in 2026, Cuba, the Cuba that we see, the Cuba that has exists for over 60 years is arguable 10 times worse than what took place in the apartheid South Africa. People are starving in Cuba. So if we can brag, if we can celebrate or what we did, how we stopped doing business with the government in South Africa. Jamaica stopped doing business with them. Barbados stopped doing business with them. Cuba, nobody was doing business with them. And America was, I think, the last shoes to fall. And once America stopped doing business with South Africa, that is when the apartheid government collapsed. So if that can happen and if we can celebrate that, why this level of hypocrisy when we who exist in a democracy are saying that, look, why should an outside government care about what the Cuban government is doing? If the Cuban government want to be a communist government, if the Cuban government want to take 90% of every Cuban citizen that go to work, that can find any type of job there, and the money goes to the Cuban government, if that is how they want to operate, then so be it. We should not be involved when we celebrate for what we did in South Africa. To me, that is hypocrisy. And I believe that it is time because nobody wants to see a war in Cuba. We saw what happened we're seeing what's taking place in the Middle East, in Palestine, and the amount of people that are losing their life. And the innocent people in Cuba are going to lose their life if there's a war, and nobody wants a war. So I believe that the Caribbean, the leaders of the Caribbean need to step up and they need to sit at the table with the American government and the Cuban government, and they need to come up with something. Okay, lift the embargo, and we promise that if you lift the embargo, we are going to free up the system. People are going to be able to go to work and get their own money in their pocket. People are going to eventually get to vote. And that is what I believe that need to happen. We don't need a war in Cuba, because if a war takes place in Cuba, the entire country is going to collapse. And we can't afford that for our brothers and sisters in Cuba. So guys, sound off in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think about the daughter of the former president of Cuba, Fidel Castro's daughter, that she is supporting the Trump administration and what they're trying to do in Cuba? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. Here at Carib 21, I'm on a mission to showcase the vibrant culture and the breathtaking beauty of the Caribbean while showcasing our culture and what is trending. If you want to support me on this mission, please subscribe. And if you also want to support, you can hit the comment section and buy me a cup of coffee. In order to buy me a cup of coffee, you can follow these instructions. Just click more. You will see the link to buy me a cup of coffee. Click the link. You can purchase 1 or 2 cups of coffee, and you'll be helping me to fulfill this mission. Thank you.